Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to Bolt Blitz Uncut, and it is happy 53-man roster day. For all of you out there who celebrate, congratulations. For those of you who are not too fond of it, there's a lot to keep up with. The Chargers, like every other NFL team, seem to be a little late with announcing their 53, but we've got everything that we can have covered for you now, and thanks for tuning in. I'm, of course, Booga Peters. I'm the host of this show, joined by my guy, producer extraordinaire and co-host, Kyle Nash. Kyle, how you feeling today? You feeling good?
Hey, listen, there's a lot going on here. It is Final Cut Down Day. I don't know that you would call it a celebration, more as it is an observation or an observance, perhaps better. The excitement of the coming season and an observance, and thank you for all those that gave their best to offer their service that may or may not have made it. Our good friend, Mrs. Amy Trask, aka the Princess of Darkness, reminds us all that there are still humans involved here. But that being said, we're talking sport. We're breaking this piece down. And Booga, I don't think there's there's some craziness that you're going to talk about, and we'll get to that later here on the Bolt Blitz Uncut. But I wanted to start at the very tippy top, where we started, right? By the way, breaking news. Justin Herbert made the team. But exactly. I think the backup situation kind of had you surprised, and I'm going to pick up my beer as a hint as a guy who didn't make the roster, much to your chagrin. Tell me about the backup quarterback situation, your reaction to it.
So here's the deal. As Kyle was kind enough to announce, yes, 10 did make the roster. We're excited to see him and his $52.5 million a year salary make the squad. It's not that I was surprised that Trey Lance was named the backup. For those of you who don't know, the two quarterbacks that were rostered were Justin Herbert and Trey Lance. Taylor Heineke was released. Here's the deal. My hope was that they would keep all three of them and try to deal either Lance or Heineke. I like the idea of them keeping one as trade bait as the season starts to unfold prior to the trade deadline. As this team right now they don't have any extra picks in the upcoming draft, and they're missing a seventh as well. So it would have been nice to see them do something that would allow them to pick up and add another pick to the arsenal that they'll have. I'm not too concerned as I am a little bit curious as to what's going on. But speaking of starting from the top, we're on the quarterback situation. Justin Herbert, perfectly fine. Trey Lance, hey, listen. Regardless of what you saw prior to him coming to the Chargers, I loved him in the preseason. I thought he looked great. He's a
you didn't see a damn thing from him prior to coming to the Chargers, though, Booga. I mean, did we have this conversation another week on the Bolt Blitz Uncut? Hell, even Fernando Rivera of the Sporting News came in here and told me that I was onto something with the fact that we don't really know who he is yet, Trey Lance, right? I have had this speech. You're giving me a chance to do it again, I guess. Thank you. But the piece that he's going to, if you're a member of the Bolt bureaucracy, if you are among the Bolt fan, if you are one of those, you don't want to see Trey Lance get his opportunity because that means something happened to Justin Herbert. I appreciate that point of view. However, if that opportunity arises, I can guarantee you, just as an example that I had to observe last year, and I say had to because as much fun as I like talking football, nobody should be forced to watch this much Mac Jones as I had to on the Duval dive when Trevor Lawrence got hurt. Trevor Lance and Trey Lawrence, right? Anyways, nobody should get to watch that much Mac Jones. Trey Lance is a far better situation. In the words of Jimmy Johnson, though I don't necessarily agree with it, it's a great platitude. The most important person on the roster is your quarterback. The second most important is your backup quarterback. Well, at least the Chargers got those two right, I'm happy to say.
So, honestly, here's the deal, though. I'm glad that they actually made the right decision in keeping Trey as the actual backup. Maybe positing him as trade fodder was not the right stance for me to kind of take. But my humble opinion is that should Herbert go down, this Chargers, especially for a sizable amount of time, this Chargers team is in more trouble than they're willing to admit. That being said, in a Greg Roman offense, Trey Lance is a little bit built for that kind of an offense. There's not too much that's going to be asked of him with his arm downfield. Should he have to come in? That being said, yeah, Chargers lose 10 and it's a big problem. we're big Herbert fans here. Nobody take what I'm saying the wrong way. Nobody's trying to prop Trey Lance up on some pedestal that he doesn't deserve to be on. But that being said, I feel more comfortable should Herbert go down and Trey Lance is the backup as opposed to Taylor Heineke. Moving forward to the running back position, and here we go, guys. My heart is a little bit sad to a degree, but the running back field of Triple H, Omarion Hampton, my favorite player in the entire draft class, who ended up being a Charger, Hassan Haskins, and then kind of a surprise to me anyway, maybe not to everybody else out there, but Najee Harris, the free agent acquisition, was activated off the non-football injury list today, and he was made an official part of the 53-man roster. Let me tell you right now, I understand that people were hoping for a Kimani Vidal addition to the roster because he's a little bit different than those three. There's not a burner between those three. That being said, Hampton's still a 4.46 guy, and he still runs like Larry Johnson for you old school Chief fans out there. This is a guy who catches the ball even better than that. He reminds me of a cross, as we've talked about in past shows, between Larry Johnson and Joe Mixon. Joe Mixon's receiving side more than anything, but I do like the aggressive nature that Joe Mixon ran with, especially early in his career with Cincinnati. But I feel very confident and strong about the backfield. That being said, as I said, my heart hurts a little bit for the cut and wave of undrafted free agent rookie signing Raheem Sanders, Rocket Sanders out of South Carolina. He had a decent preseason, 27 carries, 98 yards, couple touchdowns, and it just didn't turn out to be what would be a permanent spot on the 53-man roster.
You can't call it a snub. Yeah, you can't call it a snub because this is a good group, Booga. And again, I'd hate to keep propping up the Duval dive, but I reference a similar situation with Jaquindon Jackson. How do you do that when you got four running backs that are worthy to play? In the Chargers case, three and a fullback, because Jim Harbaugh is your coach. I love fullbacks. I think they should be more prominent. They just don't do that here. But hey, what are you so sad about? At the end of the day, you have the Triple H backfield, and they're ready to play the game.
Hey!
You know, I'm not even the wrestling fan on the show. Where are you at with that one? I'm very sad you didn't come up with that.
Oh, man.
This is me being a good producer right now. That's all
You're always a good producer, number one. But number two, I am a pseudo wrestling guy. I like the WWF from back in the day. Oh, okay. And my father's opinion on that is wasn't a favorable one in that, you know, it's a soap opera for dudes. My father was a bit antiquated in the way that he looked at things.
And I'll tell you this, if I ever got to meet him, I would say, hey, you know what a smoker is? It's a really awesome crock pot. What the hell is wrong with that?
Boy, we had a great smoker too back in the day. But moving on, speaking of fullback, and as much as Kyle kind of embraced the fact that there are four backs on the roster between the three running backs and the fullback, Scott Matlock again made the 53 as the fullback. He'll also be used as a reserve defensive lineman. I don't know how much longer this experiment needs to be carried on. I'm not a fan of him as a player on either side of the ball. He's deficient in multiple areas as a defensive lineman. As a blocker on offense, he leaves a lot to be desired. It's a frustrating thing for me because we saw this stuff last season where they tried to get a little funky with Matlock, and I didn't know how much it would stick. And then you go into this offseason and you know, there's clearly an opportunity to try to move on or do something different. And as opposed to that, it was you're hearing noise out there about, yeah, I'm still going to be playing fullback, but the team has told me that I'm also going to get a real serious shot at defensive line at D tackle. I don't know how serious that really is, to be honest with you. I think it's more of a favor than anything. He doesn't make a lot of impact on either side of the ball. That being said, you mentioned it. This is a Harbaugh team. It's a Greg Roman offense. They have a fullback on the roster. We'll see how it plays out. But the good news is they've got enough pass catchers and playmakers on the outside and at the tight end position to where I don't think fans have to be too concerned. Yeah. Are you worried at all about the the lack of a fourth running back or the fact that Scott Matlock is a little bit ineffective at fullback.
I mean, I'm more worried about that. Your assessment of him makes him look less like a guy named Matlock and more like Andy Griffith. I think that's what worries me the most. See, if we brought up seersucker suits, would that be too far? I don't know that.
There are too many folks who are too young to get any of that, but I love it.
Ironically, get the too young to get the show about the old attorney down south. Sure. But no, all that to say, I because it's Harbaugh, he'll kind of find a way to make the fullback good. Not everybody can be Kyle Juszczyk. I don't think that's fair.
No.
But listen, at the end of the day, Bolt bureaucrats, I'm sure you have to understand this is what you're going to expect from a Harbaugh offense. And hey, maybe he's had another year to develop, get his blocking skills better in this particular offense. I can't answer for that. I'm not there at camp with the Chargers, but I'll put it this way. What's the alternative? Like, is he going to convert one of the defensive linemen into a fullback? No, I don't think that's a thing.
That's what they did. That's what they did with Matlock. That's what they're doing right now. Before we get to the wide receiver position, I want to kind of fire forward to the tight end position because it's going to answer some questions about who would be the backup fullback, so to speak. When you look at the tight end position, the free agent acquisition of Tyler Conklin, though I'm not as high on him as what seems to be the rest of the Bolt fam out there, it'll be interesting to see how they use him as a dynamic weapon. He's a Y slot. He's not a real tight end to me. Will Dissly, true Y, inline Y, one of the best blocking tight ends in football. Excited to see him and see what he can do, especially as somebody who won't be, hopefully, won't be relied on as much as a pass catcher because, he did have some drops problems. But that being said, he had an incredibly admirable year. Excited to see what happens with him. 5th round pick, Oronde Gadsden, very similar to Conklin in that he's a Y slot, very little to do with the blocking game. I hear that he's willing and that's half the battle, but please do not count on Oronde Gadsden to be a blocking tight end because he's a 235 guy. Maybe he's up to 240. I don't care what the program says, if you will. I know too many head coaches who inflate all those numbers just to make them just right. But the 4th tight end is who I really want to get to is Tucker Fisk. He may not be long for the roster, except for the fact that he is tight end 4. And we're going to go rewind past the beginning of this when we started with quarterbacks. And let's start off with the injured reserve list with no return in sight for this season. 3rd round draft pick from last year, Junior Colson out of Michigan, a Harbaugh guy, mentor guy. He's been placed on the injured reserve. No return in sight for the 2025-26 season. It's incredibly disappointing. So before we talk of was Colston hired to keep the bench free of dust? Well, he's given up on doing that too. So with his position, with where he's at, he's not going to travel with the team at all times. So it'll be interesting to see how that type of disconnect, if you will, affects him as he's trying to move forward as a member of this team. Listen, it has not started off real well for him. Last year, there was, rumors of weight issues and desire issues and wanting to play football issues and then recognition of the defense issues. Those weren't a problem in the meetings. In the meetings, they had to ask Junior to quit answering all the questions because he knew them all. On the field, a lack of responsiveness, quickness, and an ability to diagnose live there became an issue. And then, of course, he had the appendicitis last year. Do not get me wrong. I know that's not exactly the fairest of shakes, if you will, for him to start off his rookie campaign with that. But it just never got going for him last year. And in the few games we did see him play, it was very unimpressive.
As somebody who's had an appendicitis, put him on the shelf. Like, I played a year of semi-pro eventually, but I was supposed to play a year before. I had an appendicitis. I was a tight end until I gained all the weight back after the damn appendicitis.
Yeah, so I've used appendicitis as a reason to get out of work twice. My appendix is fine, but that's a story for another day or two.
I don't have mine anymore, you ungrateful son of a...
No, I'm incredibly grateful. I just didn't want to be where I was supposed to be at that time. So moving on to the designated for return injured reserve, here's where we're going to circle back to the Tucker Fisk thing.
Yes.
Long snapper Josh Harris has some type of midsection oblique, I believe.
Not the appendicitis, just so we're clear.
No, not as far as we know. Fingers crossed again.
Right.
But long snapper Josh Harris is out. The reserve long snapper happens to be Tucker Fisk, that tight end 4 that we mentioned. Though I do find it hard to believe that the Chargers will be able to maintain keeping Fisk on the 53-man roster. His position there is justified not just in what he does as a true wide tight end, blocking tight end, similar to Disley, but the fact that he can also fill in as a fullback in place of your boy now, your supposed boy, Matlock, and then also do the long snapping duties for Josh Harris. His position is more than justified, at least for the time being. It'll be funny to see how all that plays out and transpires. We skipped over the wide receiver core, but there aren't really any surprises here. Everybody heard about Brendan Rice, the son of Jerry Rice. He was waived with all due respect, with no possibility of return, in my opinion. There would have to be so many injuries, both on the 53 and the practice squad.
Well, and I want to touch on that quickly, too. I know you're in the receivers by now, but an element of this, I think we want Bolt bureaucrats and Bolt fam alike that are listening to what you're saying, Booga. For example, with Rocket Sanders, I'm not putting this for Rice, and trust me, as a 49er fan, it still weirds me out that
trust me, they're two completely different situations.
So it would seem. Apparently, you have to grow up as a bricklayer, as a bricklayer's kid, to be good at football. Not necessarily good, or not necessarily a football player's kid. But I digress. The punchline's this, Booga. Rocket Sanders may still end up on this roster as a member of the practice squad if all 31 other teams pass on him, which I'm certainly not prepared to guarantee.
Yeah, no, 6 foot, 230, runs well enough, patient enough. For me, as a short yardage back and somebody who could get it done on 3rd and short, 4th and short, in the red zone, he very much made sense to me. The fact that he's not on the 53 also makes sense. They like that Triple H combination there of Hampton, Harris, and Haskins. And I didn't mean to move on from Hassan Haskins so quickly, former Michigan running back. So obviously he has familiarity with Harbaugh. He does so much well for the Chargers in that he can be a kick returner. He's great in pass pro. Although I did kind of like Kamani Vidal in pass pro. He really stepped it up quite a bit. So did Naheem Miller-Hines, but neither one of Vidal or the formerly added, Jesus Christ, Miller-Hines obviously are on the roster any longer. So
now, again, the practice squad is a thing.
It is. And so here's the deal. If Miller-Hines doesn't fumble the ball, however many times he fumbled during this preseason, he had a legitimate shot because, again, he was so effective and so solid in pass protection. And he's a solid receiving back out of the backfield. But when you put the ball on the turf and then you have all these other options and guys like Haskins who provide so much as far as their versatility in multiple positions, it makes guys like Vidal and, of course, Miller-Hines expendable.
But Booga, I'll say this, like maybe they couldn't get past Hassan. I get that. But with this O-line, which we'll get to, with the decimation situation, that poor 80 Simons, having to lament on that and his reaction to that preseason game. Rightly so. I'm not dissing the take, but I feel like pass pro is at a premium that maybe keeping a guy like that on the practice squad, should things somehow get worse with the injury situation, isn't necessarily the worst of ideas. I'll put it that way.
No, sure. I mean, 80 and everybody else out there in Charger land, Bolt fam land, if you will, they have every right to be incredibly concerned about this offensive line. This offensive line, not just on the interior, but on the outsides. It's
you're getting laments and sympathy from members of the Chiefs Kingdom. Okay. I was on IOW Sports and I had to shout out Bolt Blitz Uncut with 80's lament for the Chargers. And by the way, if you saw that on the Instagram page, bonus points for you. But just the fact that it's that bad that even Chiefs fans are going, bruh, this always happens to them. I don't get it. It's a whole other thing.
No, it's funny because the chargering thing, you know, that chargering moniker or hashtag or whatever the fuck you want to call it, it's well earned, unintentionally, intentionally, whether it's everyone in their dog getting hurt at the most inopportune time, or just random things happening like they do happen to the Chargers. It's very fitting that this year's offseason started to culminate with making Rashawn Slater the highest paid offensive lineman in the history of the NFL. And then about 8 days later, he's lost for the season. I mean, it's that's the typical Charger thing. And by the way, so speaking of that, the Chargering thing, they signed Mekhi Becton in the offseason, and we hear, you know, a little bit of this. You saw the chat. You've been in the chat now for quite some time. 80 and I have been terrified about that K-tape, that kinesiology tape on his knee. And I appreciated what you said. It could just be, you know, as a caution. And that makes sense too, until like you start listening to all these press conferences months later and it's, well, Mekhi's the projected starter. We don't want to guarantee anything. It's like, oh shit, what have we done? And as in we, I mean them. I'm not that guy. I don't do the we as the Chargers. It's not my thing.
What just happened? What the beep just happened? If you're Will Ferrell, that's right.
No, I mean, no, we drop the F-bombs here. Fuck that shit. But no, everybody's concern regarding the offensive line is huge. Yes. I've seen it mentioned multiple places, and everyone couldn't be more right than they are, saying like it's kind of nice and incredibly fortunate that the Chargers had what is an all-pro caliber right tackle who can slide over and be an all-pro caliber left tackle, and Joe Alt. It's just his sophomore campaign, but I don't know anyone who's at all concerned about how he's going to perform on the left side or how he's going to perform, whether it be in the run game or in the pass game.
Joe Alt will still delete whatever's in front of him. I get what you're doing there.
Yeah, I was getting there, but you got me. It's everything else. Left guard, Zion Johnson. Center, Bradley Bozeman. Right guard, Jamari Sawyer, whom honestly, he's lost 35 pounds, and I'm not one of these guys anymore like I was when I was young, where I hear this weight loss journey success, and I'm like, they're going to be great this year. I can't wait to see how he looks when the pads are coming on and there are guys with helmets other than yours on the opposite side of the ball. But he's going to be man in right guard. And then, Lord have mercy, the nightmare of all nightmare for Chargers fans, Trey Pipkins. Fucking Trey Pipkins is your right tackle. This is something we've all wanted to avoid. Last year during the offseason when the Chargers kept Trey and experimented with him at guard, it was just like, oh my God. During this offseason, it's like, well, here's your swing tackle. And it's like, okay, I can justify and I can get behind Trey Pipkins as a swing tackle. Listen, I don't think how do I say this out loud? I don't think he's as bad as we make him sound in the chat. And I definitely don't think he's as bad as the internet makes him sound. That being said, however, he's pretty fucking horrible. Most of the fucking time. But I listen, I'm trying to buy so hard into this Harbaugh, Minter, Ortiz shit that I'm ignoring what my eyes see, and I've never done that before. I think it's partially I'm getting old and maybe mentally lazy. But I'm gonna wait this one out a little more than I normally would. Greg Roman is one of the greatest run designers in the NFL. His run play designs and the way that he sets up the running game, it's absolutely fabulous. The fact that he has no clue how to incorporate the passing game into that in some strategic way that complements said running game is beyond infuriating, especially when you look at his inability to make adjustments after halftime. But that's for another show because we could talk about that forever. Let's get to the other guy that I left off. Sorry. Designated for return IR, like I said, long snapper Josh Harris. So he'll be out for 4 games no matter what. And then he's designated to return after that. And then also cornerback Dean Leonard. He's been dealing with a lower leg injury. My thing with Dean Leonard is they kept Ja Taylor on there, and we'll get to the cornerbacks. And I know people who are going to be chiming in later are going to be really pissed about the Ja thing. But Dean Leonard is a guy who can run. He's athletic, and he's somebody who would play opposite gunner of Ja Taylor. So I can understand why keeping him on IR as opposed to waiving him with an injury designation makes sense. I believe he's vet vested anyway. But Dean's a guy that I would really like to see come back to form, and I just mean health-wise, and see what he can do in this Minter defense. I think he has the right speed, a good enough size frame to make plays. But in addition to long snapper Josh Harris, Dean, no matter what, is also going to miss the first month of the season. And we'll see what happens after that because he'll be designated return possibly after that. Wide receivers, here we go. Ladd McConkey, the things that my son and I had to say when Ladd was drafted in the second round, when the Chargers were the ones to move up. My son and I were going nuts. It's Jackson Powers Johnson, center, Oregon. It's got to be. They moved up for him. We were ecstatic. And then they drafted Ladd McConkey, and all the horrible jokes that an old white dad and a goofy white son could make came up. And we tried our best to mentally deal with the McConkey signing. And then he goes out and blows up the NFL as one of the most effective slot receivers. He's just fine outside too. Literally proved as a rookie he could play inside or outside. And I expected nothing less than what he provided last year. And everybody's excited to see that, or at least anticipating that he could do even more. The addition of Keenan Allen, Slayer is back. Slayer is back in LA, a guy who literally started with the Chargers when they were back in America's finest city, San Diego. Give that a bang.
No, for sure.
Anytime we announce or we say San Diego, having Slayer back, let me tell you right now, he's not the guy he was when he was drafted or 7 years after he was drafted, but he is still one of the premier route runners in the league. Him being able to work with guys like Ladd, KLS, as everybody calls him, though he prefers to be called Dre, Trey Harris, these young receivers, even Oronde Gadsden, who's more of a wide slot like we talked about earlier in the show. Having Keenan there to have him show them releases and why he does what he does, I think it's invaluable. And you've already seen it in a lot of the Chargers.com stuff. A lot of their footage, God, it's always so good. But the mic'd up stuff was absolutely awesome when we got to see Keenan come back. And he's talking it up and chopping it up. But, yeah, hold on. Let me get that. Yes, I am glad that we pointed out that it was not Leonard's lower leg energy. It was actually an injury. I'm Ron Burgundy. Thank you, Brian, for pointing that out, brother. We love that you're in the chat. We appreciate you in this chat and the group chat, Brian. You help keep us grounded, and you're just one of them dudes that you're good to have around. You're a solid Chargers fan, and the fact that you're, in my mind, one of the best Bolt fan members out there and one of my friends, it means a lot. Wide receivers, we're sticking right there. Slayer, I could talk enough about the energy that he brings to this wide receiver roster and that wide receiver room because of the aforementioned guy, a guy that I'm about to talk about, Quentin Johnston. Listen, y'all are going to continue to do and say everything that you say about him, myself included. Quentin Johnston is a very frustrating player to watch. He is incredibly athletic, not quite the 6'4" that Madden has him out there, but tall, lanky. He can run. He's quick in and out of cuts. He's good in the bubble game, but if you get him anything past intermediate, boy, I'm not sure I've ever seen anybody track the ball worse. That being said, he's your wide receiver 2 or 3 on this team, to be honest with you. It's Ladd and Quentin Johnston that are probably going to start out the game at your X and Z. So deal with that. Obviously, they're going to incorporate Keenan and the other guys we're going to talk about. But be prepared to see what they can do with Quentin Johnston. And listen, he's going to make some plays against busted coverage that are going to make you super happy. He's going to frustrate you in situations where he's wide open, and you're going to want him cut from the team. That being said, as a fan base, we really, really, really should try to get behind this guy as much as we can, because I feel like we're really kicking this guy in the ass, if you will. And I'm trying to put it the nicest of ways. I was about to say it a different way, but my kids do listen occasionally, so I didn't want to say what I was going to say. Quentin Johnston, I'm not a fan. I'm not trying to say that I'm a fan, but that being said, I'm going to do my best to be more patient this year. because after this year, it won't matter. If you play like you have, you'll be gone, man. You will be the fuck out. And he'll drop important third downs. And yeah, so 80 Simons is kind enough to chime in.
Speaking about being impatient, this dude's already sick of you talking skill players. He wants beef. You're not there yet, but I'm just letting you know. It's another instance of impatience. It's okay.
Here's the deal. The reason that he's impatient is because the only thing he wants to talk is O-line, except for when we talk about the Chargers O-line, it makes him sad.
Right now, it should.
And we're going to make him sad here shortly. I'm almost done wrapping up the receivers. I'm almost done. No, and everybody's excited about these last guys. And what's funny is, despite the love for Luke Graham, guys, come on, give me a fucking break. He wasn't going to make the 53, and he might not even make the practice squad. If he does, that'd be great. But Darius Davis is your wide receiver 6, and he's safe, and he's your kick returner and your punt returner. He's one of the best punt returners in the NFL, has been for the last couple of years. There should be no surprise there. I know that y'all get all excited during the preseason when you see somebody light it up and return a punt for a touchdown. And what does he do the next game? He puts the ball on the turf a couple times, and he earns his way off of what could have been a practice squad spot. Maybe he finds his way back onto it. I highly doubt it. But you know who won't have any problems, whether it's on the 53 or the practice squad? That's Keandre Lambert-Smith. Whom
this is going to rock y'all.
I'm telling y'all, the fact that he's the 5th round pick and he's getting a lot more shine than Trey Harris, the 2nd round pick out of Ole Miss, it's something worth taking note of. I didn't realize how fast he was. I didn't know that he was a 4.37 guy. I really didn't see that in his game when I watched the Auburn tape. But when you go back and you rewind and you go to the Penn State tape, it's a little bit different. You see a little more of that game-breaking speed, acrobatic catches. He can do a lot of things. And we saw 80 Simon's suicidal comment. You know, the offensive line is about to really, really get us there. We're almost there, Bubba, I promise. KLS, or as he prefers to be called, Dre, I think he's somebody that you're going to see inserted into certain situations that get fans excited. I can't tell you how excited I am to see what he does because, again, I kind of downplayed the signing. I wasn't overly familiar with him. I hadn't seen anything he did at Penn State. At Auburn, he had no quarterback, too. With all due respect, sorry for all you folks out there, not a good quarterback situation. So,
hey, listen, I didn't cover Gus Malzahn until he left Auburn at UCF with the black and gold banneret.
But all of that being said, we saw enough from him during OTAs, training camp, mini camp, all that shit. And then during the preseason games, he didn't have a ton of catches, but he caught enough and he flashed when he did. And you saw him with that separation that leads us to our next guy, Trey Harris, somebody who did struggle a little bit to separate. That being said, I'm so fucking tired of seeing people worried about it. He's not quite 6'3". I know what they say in the program, if you will. But he has enough size and enough route running ability to do a lot of things underneath and in your short game, your intermediate game, and maybe even some deep digs. I don't see him taking the top off of anything, but I think we're all a little bit overly concerned about Trey Harris right now. And I think it's solely just because he was a 2nd-round draft pick. So it's just like, oh, after what Ladd did as a 2nd-round draft pick, this is what Trey's going to do too. No, y'all, it's not how it works.
Right. I think that's completely unfair. And moreover, you're going to complain about Johnston and his 3rd down drops, and then complain you got a possession receiver thoroughly capable of taking care of that part of the business, so that QJ can do the part where he's supposed to take the top off the defense for it.
Well, so my thing is I'm not trying to poo-poo on Chargers fans. I'm not trying to take a shit on their party. But what I'm saying is don't be so deterred by Trey Harris not necessarily wowing you in camp because of what you've seen Keandre Lambert-Smith do. Everybody learns at a certain pace. They're both rookies. I don't give a fuck where they were drafted. The offense, honestly, with what Greg Roman does in the passing game, it fits Trey Harris better. So if that was to be your argument, and that's why you're more concerned about why we're not seeing a little more from Trey early, then I wouldn't argue back with you, so to speak. But Trey Harris there, he's going to get enough snaps. I believe by year 2, you're going to see a much more polished wide receiver. And again, they do have Keenan Allen in that wide receiver room, and he is not one of these old farts who doesn't want to share. He's going to be in there and actually try to mentor. He's one of those guys, if you watched the mic'd up of Keenan on Chargers.com, you saw him and Derwin one-on-one with each other, and man, was that fun to watch. But the talking back and forth and the communication and them trying to really pick each other's brain on what the other one did that wasn't right, with the way that Keenan left his chest too out there and flat. So it gave Derwin a real easy punch off that line of scrimmage because he was playing press. And they're just going through this, and Derwin's walking through him, hey, dip that a little more, and it gives me less of a target for me to try to push through. And then, what happens on the very next one, Keenan got inside him now. I think it was actually going to be an inside release for an outside route, but Derwin kind of played it perfectly because that's just what Derwin does. But you have that in the room with you, and when you see that he's working like that with Derwin, he's obviously going to do that with the other wide receivers. It's not mutual, or it's not exclusive to just Derwin James, all-pro Derwin James, who, by the way, he kind of knows a lot on his own anyway. But I think that just does add to the iron sharpening iron part too.
In a world where safety play that's good is so rare in this league, Derwin James is a gem for sure. I'm just going to throw that out there.
Oh, and then, by the way, he'll play more in the slot than he does anywhere else. He's that kind of dude. Again, they want to keep getting him closer to the line of scrimmage. So, when we get to the cornerbacks, which we will after we get to the O-line for 80, when we get to the cornerbacks, we'll talk about all that shit too. Speaking of the O-line, and listen, cutting Branson Taylor, he was a draft pick. That was a bit of a surprise to me. They did also cut a cornerback that we'll talk about a little bit, but let me just roll through the only offensive line, the only 8 offensive linemen that they kept.
And that alone blows my mind. 8 is an insane number. Now, granted, there's some people, some places, I'm going to say this up front for those that may not know, like for one, there's no guarantee they keep all 4, let's say all 4 tight ends, for example. There's no guarantee they keep all 12 defensive back. There's no guarantee they keep all, I think I counted 9 linebackers, because they'll need to come up with a roster spot. And you mentioned some guys earlier, Booga, that might make a PUP or an IR that will free up space to increase that number from 8 to something. So before we all lose our entire minds, I feel like I had to have this conversation with Jaguar fans too, Duval Dive. But yeah, it's the same concept where, and I don't do that just to pimp my show. I mean, that's obviously a part of it. I'm not gonna lie.
We need the reference points, man. We're not plagiarists here, man. I want to know where it came from, and so does everybody who's listening.
For the record to be shown, like, the Chargers aren't necessarily unique in dealing with O-line personnel changes or issues, I should say.
No.
Now, getting there by way of the fact that there's so much of a mash unit, Alan Alda's a little worried about what's going on. No one's going to get that goddamn reference.
But I do. It's good enough for me.
There's so many ER issues that George Clooney. No, that's old now, too. Son of a bitch. It's from The Pit. Noah Wiley, who was in ER as well. There we go. Full steam. There he is. So,
man, y'all watching ER. I can't watch any of that doctor shit. I get enough of that in my own time in real life.
I get you, but I'm a nurse's kid. I'm going to hear about it at the very least.
I'm a nurse's boyfriend. Hey, let's get to this offensive line. And here's the deal. We'll see what happens. The Chargers did trade conditional 7th round, 2027, conditional 7th round pick to the Texans for Austin Deculus, a tackle who was a part of the LSU offensive line that was considered to be great at one point.
So what you're telling me is you're depending on the Texans for O-line help. Good God. Now I know why 80 is so sad.
That sounded so bad when you said it that way. Yeah, that really. Well, they're just like, fuck you, Laramie Tunzel. We'll send you into the Commanders. What the fuck? He's a top 5'7" left tackle in the league.
Completely inexplicable. Just, I got nothing for you there, Booga.
So Slater falls off a cliff, and he's injured for the year after signing the biggest contract. And in NFL history for an offensive lineman. But here's the offensive line. I'm just going to rattle them off real quick. We've got Joe Alt, obviously the 5th pick of last year's draft out of Notre Dame. Mekhi Becton, God only knows if he's actually going to be able to play. Looks like Jamari Sawyer, who is also obviously on the roster, will start in his place. Bradley Bozeman, the guy that all Chargers fans and Bolt fam lauds and applauds for attacking that Saints defensive lineman who gator rolled Justin Herbert. But none of them acknowledged that Bradley Bozeman is the one who let him the fuck through. Bradley Bozeman is back, so I guess it's not just the fans who don't acknowledge that Bradley Bozeman was the one who let him through. Apparently Joe Ortiz and Jim Harbaugh are incapable too. What are we doing?
All these shots fired by Booga Peters.
Just saying, I'm getting hot. I'm getting hot. Listen, we don't get to be a part of something that is competitors welcome, O-line centric building. And then it's just like, hey, we talked about how bad we were at Houston. The only problem that Justin Herbert has are the people around him, the offensive line, the weapons, the this and that. And competitors welcome. I'm getting repetitive, right? Because so does Harbaugh. And then we get here and it's like, oh, we're going to flirt with Zion Johnson at center and Bozeman at left guard. And, oh, lo and behold, what do we end up with? Exactly what we had against Houston. The same interior. Fucking Zion Johnson at left guard. Bradley Bozeman at center. Jamari Sawyer at right guard, whom I'm the most confident in out of the 3. And then, I almost forgot to mention our next guy who made it. Trey Pipkins is your starting right tackle. Ladies and gentlemen, I'll tell you right now, when Bolt Blitz started, we didn't have to, quote unquote, deal with the Trey Pipkins thing right away. But Thomas Powell, may he rest in peace. I miss you so much, brother. God, I miss you wish you were here for this. But boy, he's rolling in his grave right now going, who in the fuck decided that Trey Pipkins is good enough to be your starting right tackle again after what he did and has allowed to anybody in lightning bolts? So it's a bit of a disappointment. That being said, I don't know what other better options there are out there right now than Trey, even though, boy, I feel like I could find something. That's not the case. He is your starting right tackle for this season right now. Who else did I leave out? I believe that was everybody. Oh, Andre James. Sorry. Andre James, they kind of teased a little bit that he may be getting some first-team reps, and he did get some first-team reps here and there, but nothing major, and he'll be your backup center and probably your backup left guard, if we're being completely honest. So 8 offensive linemen again. Joe Alt, Mekhi Becton, Bradley Bozeman, Austin Deculus, who they traded for today from the Houston Texans for a 2027 conditional 7th-round pick. Andre James, whom we just mentioned, Zion Johnson, Trey Pipkins, and Jamari Sawyer. 80, I don't think I did anything to help you out, man. I don't think talking about the offensive line made you better off at all.
I don't think it's coincidence that he stopped commenting. I'll put it.
Yeah, I know. He's like, I'm out. Well, he said he made the comment. Could have had Tesla, the wide receiver that's in Detroit, just killing it in the preseason. Big frame, big target, solid hands. 80 definitely brings that up, and I do too every time I see him make a play because Simons was all over that one. Moving to the cornerbacks. Actually, no. We'll wait for a second. I'm just gonna do the linebackers.
There's so many cornerbacks. Well,
corners and safeties. I mean, no.
Yeah,
so we're gonna
do on the
the
roster. We might need to do a part 2 of the damn episode, Booga. Holy crap!
Well, we could. We're looking at the outside linebackers real quick, and I'm so happy about this group, with the exception of one player, but obviously Khalil Mack, Tuli Tuipulotu, Bud Dupree, Kyle Kennard. He's my disappointment. But our surprise, Caleb Murphy. Caleb Murphy getting the nod as one of the 53-man outside linebackers. That's phenomenal to me. I'm really glad to see the Chargers reward a guy who played out of his mind during the preseason. He was really great in practice and stuff during the offseason against his own guys. But it was cool to see what he could do against those guys with the opposite helmets, and he clearly earned a spot on the team. the disappointment is Kyle Kennard. We were doing the Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego song for this cat, man. No one knew where Kyle Kennard was.
Kyle Kennard on defense.
Yeah, what the fuck, man? SEC Defensive Player of the Year. What did the Chargers get, though? A guy whom literally myself, and I saw, it was so funny. I saw it sprinkled all over social media. A couple plays after Kennard had gotten into this last game, everyone's like, oh, shit. I didn't even realize he was in there. It was everywhere. It was like, oh, shit, Kyle Kennard's playing. Who knew? Like, it's not exactly what you want out of a guy that they took that early. That being said, pump the brakes, calm the fuck down. We'll see what happens. Nothing to be excited about yet. But the good news is that Caleb Murphy guy, he gives you a lot to be excited about. I love young players that have literally everything to prove, especially considering he earned a spot on a team that is very short on roster spots. Outside linebackers, that's simple. Inside, we love this. Deion Henley, hello. Okay, hold on. I'm going to do something. I'm not going to pick on him. I'm not going to call out anybody. But y'all need to slow your fucking roll on Deion Henley. Oh, he's Fred Warner level. He's the best off-ball linebacker.
Fred Warner, stop it.
What the fuck are we doing, guys? It's year 3. He hardly played at all, yes, because Brandon Staley's an absolute moron. But, like, can we let it – I understand. I saw improvement. We all saw improvement. His name is slowly leaking out into the mouths of some of the national media, but give me a break. Fred Warner isn't just at the level he's at now. He's been at that level for so long.
Oh, yes.
You don't get to compare second or third year players with him, especially ones that didn't play the first year. Give him some time. Love Henley. Excited about him. Maybe he will be in the all-pro linebacker conversation. That being said, what are we doing? How about just play as well as you did last year or improve some? And then we'll go from there. Give me 2 or 3 years before we ever add his name into a conversation with Fred Warner. Henley, phenomenal player, young, athletic, surprisingly good against the run for a guy who's a former safety that I expected to be more of a coverage linebacker. He actually does fit gaps well. But can we quit doing the Fred Warner talk? God damn it, man. Y'all make me sick doing that shit. I don't like when we take the greats in our game and we reduce them to a second or third year player like that. We don't have to do that. And then as we're talking to Kyle Kennard, my man 80, he wanted to bring up another former SEC Defensive Player of the Year, and that was defensive lineman out of Missouri, Michael Sam. Well, we'll just say that didn't work out because it didn't.
We'll just say that didn't work out.
Kyle Kennard, we're looking at you to have a much better career if we could. That being said, anybody who gets a shot in the NFL, they are obviously better than the other 99.9% of football players on the planet. So congratulations to all of them. Kyle Kennard, let's see you show up, man. You got me nervous. You got me nervous because they really had a chance to rely on you, and they have a chance, and we'll see what happens because Tuli Pelotu, he really is. How
can you say Tui Pelotu and then struggle with Uiagalelei? How the hell?
Uiagalelei now? I didn't believe you. I didn't believe you at all. I was like, man, that's fucking wrong. That's not how that shit's pronounced. And then I heard it on the broadcast, and I was like, motherfucker, tail between the legs, like, woo. Yeah, I nailed it. Producer extraordinaire.
In the words of Lucifer on Netflix, I tried to tell you, but you wouldn't listen.
I haven't watched that yet, but I do like that actor. I should check it out.
Oh, he's great. Absolutely. No, dude, that's the kind of show. You're going to love that ish. Oh, bro, let's go.
Everybody says that shit. I think people.
Bro, like off season, you and I should damn watch that thing on a different podcast. It'd be great.
I'm telling you, dude, there's so many things that we should. Yes, agreed. Before we get into movies and television shows and Netflix documentaries, inside linebackers. Deion Henley, as we mentioned, please slow your roll. He doesn't have to be Fred Warner. I don't need him to be any better than he was last year, by the way. As long as he competes and plays at the same level he was last year, he'll be perfectly fine. But if he does step up and he does get some all-pro consideration, I'm still not going to compare him to Fred Warner.
Boom.
I think it's because my eyes work.
Whoa.
What the fuck are we doing? Denzel Perriman, who started his career with the Chargers in 2013 as a draft pick, out of the U, hard-hitting linebacker. Problem is he has trouble staying healthy, and he's a liability in pass coverage. That being said, expect to see Perriman in early on rundowns. He's a thumper, and he's going to make some guys pay for about 9 to 11 weeks out of the 2025 season. That's my hope when it comes to his ability to stay healthy in the games that he actually participates in. But our next guy, Marlo Wax, I'm telling you right now, the Chargers literally have kind of shown me something, and Joe Ortiz has shown me something, that they really are willing to kind of roll the dice on some of these young guys that really, really pushed the envelope and just kept putting up the numbers and showing up, even in the games that quote unquote don't count. We talked about Caleb Murphy earlier in the show. He made so many moves off the edge. He was well deserved of a roster spot, and nobody would have predicted that when this offseason had begun. And then Marlo Wax, another guy. You did not get to watch a Chargers preseason game without seeing Wax all over the field. It's nice.
Wax was on, but Wax was never off.
No, well, that's the thing. But we saw that, and even if Mr. Moriarty, may he rest in peace, if he was still around, he'd still be impressed by Marlo, because here's the deal. The chances of him making this 53 were really slim because of the offensive line, because of the needs that could be not anymore at the secondary, considering what they did. My God, all 8,000 of them. But roster spots are difficult to come by on all 32 teams, but especially on this Chargers roster. So seeing him get in is great. Marlo Wax, not whom anybody would have predicted to get in there. Effective against the run, good enough off the edge. He actually had a couple blitzes up the middle where he was decent in between the guard and center. He's somebody they'll be interested to see what happens with, and how his career kind of opens up into what will be something that's kind of exciting, because the Chargers, as everybody knows, they are kind of known for their UDFAs. Darren Sproles wasn't too bad. That one guy who was Antonio Gates, he ended up being okay, right?
Meh.
Yeah.
I should say, meow. That's your cat's name. That's all right.
Yeah. I'm all right. Jesus Christ. Did I say Sproles? I did not mean to say Sproles. Golly.
You did say Sproles.
I did not. He was out of Kansas. He was a draft pick. Sorry. Jesus Christ. Obviously, that's not what I meant. Anyway, Gates did all right. I guess the Hall of Fame is a pretty decent destination for anybody who's trying to get to where they want to be in the NFL. Cornerbacks. We knew that Cam Hart, Tarheeb Still, last year's 5th-round picks, who Tarheeb Still especially excelled last year, despite being a rookie. Cam Hart had his games as well. He had his moments that where he suffered, including the times that he missed with concussion issues. Cam Hart has some injury issues, and that's something to definitely be concerned about. But it appears that Tarheeb Still is going to be starting on one side, and then Dante Jackson, their free agent acquisition, formerly at Carolina and Pittsburgh of the Steelers, he'll be starting on the other side. Dante is going to be able to give you a little more of a man element than anybody else on this Minter defense. And let me tell you, if Jesse Minter had guys who could play man coverage, they'd play that more often than you'd like to admit. They just don't have a lot of man-capable guys. When Cam Hart is healthy, he's very capable. He's a big, long, lanky guy, physical. He can get in your face. He can press. He's just never healthy so far. Now, that being said, but I shouldn't say never. It's his second year. I need to calm the fuck down with that. But these other guys, everybody is going to be excited about, or these other two guys are going to be excited pieces, and then the last two guys everybody's going to be upset about. Eric Rodgers and Nico Reed, standouts in the preseason. Eric Rodgers, whom we saw have a 2-interception game, one in which he returned for a pick 6. Phenomenal player, and his break on the ball, I'm telling you, we all saw it. Didn't matter what level of football or what level of football knowledge you had. When you saw the way he broke on that ball, it wouldn't have mattered whether he was playing against first teamers, second teamers, third teamers. It was phenomenal. He read the play, and he has enough speed. He has decent size. Eric Rogers made the roster. Despite seeing him on crutches, clearly they feel confident enough about his recovery to where he made the 53, and congratulations to him. And Nico Reed, another guy, multiple interceptions all over the field, making plays in the run game, physical. Hey, let me say this, though. Can we get him a new number? 46? What are we doing? Is he Tim McDonald from the old Cardinals? Like, come on, man. 46. We got to do something for that, man.
I mean, it's only one less than John Lynch. Let's cut him a little slack on that.
Lynch was 47, so like 46. But I don't know if I don't know if I like that correlation, because I want him to be his own player. I want him to figure his own thing out. I just feel like
one less than Lynch, he'll be his own player, just not a Hall of Famer. You should hope for that. No one's going to be Derwin James. Okay, that's your Hall of Fame defensive back. I'm just saying.
Give him something other than 46, regardless of what my producer says.
I'm trying my best there, Booga. Hey, the O-line got everybody sad. I'm trying to find some positivity up in this.
As it should have. The O-line is incredibly sad. It's I could have made it sound even worse than I did.
Wallow harder. That's what I've known.
No. But hey, Ben St. Juste, the pickup from the Commanders. Listen, I understand the acquisition, and I know why Ortiz did it, because he is the prototypical size and athleticism kind of bracket, if you will, or coupling.
You can't coach, right? You can't coach size.
Sure. And in Minter's defense, in the way that he likes to call it, guys St. Juste size tend to fit in there better for the way that he does things. The Minter defense, it's reliant upon all 11, and you're like, every defense is like that. The Minter defense, everybody has to do exactly what they're supposed to do when they're supposed to do it. There are some defenses, by the way, where you don't have to do that. There are plenty of defenses where guys freelance. In the Minter defense,
where it's more reaction-oriented rather than placement-oriented.
Then this spot.
Right.
Get to a spot, occupy a lane, fill a gap, occupy blockers. Minter is very scripted and diagnosed in the way that he gets everybody to a certain place, regardless of the play. It's something I really like watching with him. And his conversion from a disguise cover 3 that looks like 2, I feel like it's one of the best in the game right now. And the Chargers, if the DBs pull it off right, you're going to see a few more picks this year, if you ask me. Especially with Derwin doing what he can do in the slot. Other than St. Juste, and listen, guys, again, sorry. He's the prototypical guy as far as size, speed in that Minter defense. His play recognition is horrible. He doesn't flip his hips well. I'd like to see him be a better playmaker and be better on the ball. That being said, what the fuck do I know? Minter and these boys have really been praising him all offseason. Listen, good. Prove. I don't even want to say prove me wrong, because I don't know. But what I've seen so far hasn't been impressive. So prove me wrong and prove everybody else wrong too.
Allay my fears. That's what I think you're trying to say.
I like that. That's a good way to put it too. And then the last guy. This is really what pisses everybody off. Jasir Taylor. You saw it on several shows, Chargers-related podcasts and radio shows. Jasir Taylor. He is Ryan Ficken's boy, the special teams coordinator. Is the best gunner this team has. And the argument was that despite the fact that is such a good gunner, he's horrible in coverage. Can you justify keeping him on the 53 because he provides very little positivity to the coverage game? Well, he's there. For the shows that claim, like, listen, Ryan Ficken is going to get what he wants, you were fucking right. As much as I claim that too, on Twitter, on Facebook, all over social media, in my heart, I was like, nah, I don't, because I wanted to make sure there was room for Eric Rogers and Nico Reed. They found a way to do that too, and also keep Taylor. I think this does truly prove the amount of pull that Ryan Ficken, the special teams coordinator, has when it comes to roster development, at least in the third phase of the game. Ja Taylor's a Charger, at least for this year, at least for the time being. And hopefully we don't see him in coverage too much, but he's a great gunner. I hope y'all can deal with it.
There's a ringing endorsement.
I know it's not great. It's not great. It's not my best. Here's the deal. We're on to the safeties, and then we'll finish our fucking 12-person defensive backfield. Golly, 12. Derwin James, which is funny because I just rattled off all these corners, and Derwin's going to play slot more than he does safety. He'll play closer to the line of scrimmage more than he does deep. But he's one of the best players on defense in the entire NFL. Kyle mentioned it earlier, and I wish I'd have been the one to say it first. Like, you don't replicate Derwin James. You just don't. The Chargers are incredibly fortunate still that he somehow fell to 17. I don't get it. It has now provided me for really irresponsible hope in every draft after that I may still get my player. I got him this year in Omari and Hampton, but that Derwin thing, man, that got me going. Derwin James, you're my son's favorite Charger. Can't wait to see you this year. Love to see you in the slot. Love to see you line up inside. Love to see you line up outside. Love to see you line up deep. Just keep balling, man. We're so appreciative of everything that you do, not just on the field, but off the field as well. You're a phenomenal example for all of our kids, and that's why you're my boy's favorite. The other safeties, let me tell you, and let me just do the other two real quick. Elijah Molden, who just re-upped a contract, who has been wearing a yellow jersey, but I don't think we have anything to worry about him injury-wise. And then Alohi Gilman. Alohi Gilman is a guy that I've been really critical of over the years. Though he's come on in recent years and really improved his game, there are still enough mental lapses where I'm concerned. I don't know the exact play every time, but I'll tell you, we're pretty accurate over here. Especially when I talk to coaches regarding what specifically happened on certain plays. It's not often that I'm way off base. He's a guy who leaves a lot to be deserved when it comes to play recognition. But you can move him up. He can play in the box, a la Derwin. He could do a lot of things close to the line of scrimmage that make him worth it. And he's a huge communicator on the defense. And I know all the what is it called? The Alohi crew. Yeah, cool guys. Awesome. Tough shit. I don't care that he has a crew. I hope he has a phenomenal year because I think it's his last year with the Chargers. So he has a chance to play into what will be another contract after this year. Listen, the rotation of Molden and Gilman between the strong safety and free safety positions allows Derwin to do what they want him to do, and that's play close to the line of scrimmage. It allows him to play in the slot. So before I start making it sound like I don't appreciate Gilman at all, I do. I wish he was a little better in pass coverage, and I wish that he was a little more athletic, but he's an intelligent player who, for the most part, makes sound decisions in the right situations.
Hey, Booga, for clarity, the only place where I've ever felt you were completely off base was with your ice cream flavors when we were talking to Amy Trask last week.
I know Amy got me with that too. She's like, "What are you talking about?"
She dumped.
Nobody even knows what that is.
It was great. Anyways,
I mean, listen, for those of you who are just now tuning in, on our first show, we had my guy, Bert Grossman, within 4 seconds talking about semen.
That's your fault, not his.
Very true, by the way. But then in our next show with great guests, or our second show after that with great guests, we're talking about ice cream with Amy Trask. We are versatile, folks.
And we're just kind of leaving out Emery Hunt. And fucking just like top liver. What are we doing here, guys? Anyways, continue.
We're better than that.
That's right.
We're better than that. Okay. So here comes the surprises at the safety position. The huge surprise. Not a surprise so much that R.J. Mickens is still a Charger. I kind of thought that he would be relegated to the practice squad, but they clearly were too concerned that he would be poached by another team. The big surprise to me, Kendall Williamson. I did not expect him to make the 53. Had hopes he would make the practice squad, but what this means is that he's probably going to have a very prominent role on special teams. It'll be exciting to see how he's deployed. I I really expected Tony Jefferson to make it over Kendall Williamson, and I know 80 did as well, and I know Chargers fans everywhere are really.
Wait, you got to make the reference, Booga. Are you saying that Jefferson didn't move on up?
He did not move it up. He meant to the least side.
Ah, there it is. Welcome back to the show, Booga.
Oh, man, we try here. Every now and then we get the hook right back in. Listen, Tony is 33 years old. He took some time off from playing, and he was a scout for the Ravens, and then he comes to the Chargers, and what does he do? And the 2 preseasons he was with the team, he had literally like all-time preseason games, like stat box filling games, like just all over the place. Can we be honest? I would hope that that's what we would see from a 30-plus-year-old vet against second and third string painters, plumbers, and everything that you guys accused Michael Jordan of playing against. That's what I would expect anyway. I did not expect, however, that Kendall Williamson would be on the 53-man. Congratulations to him. I really look forward to you balling out. Earn that spot, man, because you already did. But really, really, really show us who you are, because we all need to see it. So
I'm more stunned by your Michael Jordan slander. That'll have to be a separate episode.
I love MJ. Don't get me wrong. No, it's not that. I don't know. I'm a Lakers guy. I'm a Lakers guy, so it's hard for me to puff him up, man. Special teams, simple. Josh Harris, he's on IR for now. Tucker Fisk, again, he's tight end 4, but he's also the long snapper and backup fullback. This team loves versatility. You guys know how Jim Harbaugh is.
Facts.
That's what it's going to be. Cameron Dicker, probably the most underrated kicker in the entire NFL. He'll be fine. Well, maybe except for your boy over what's his name? God damn it. Cam Little?
Cam Little with the big.
Not so little.
Bro, I've been trying to pimp him up for the entire past year, every week on the good and the bad and the spotty, just because the offense didn't have a damn thing else for me to write about on the Fans First Sports.
Oh, that's horrible. No, but
it's accurate. I'm sorry, Booga.
Cameron Dicker is literally the most accurate kicker in NFL history.
Cool. And when he kicks a 70-yarder, I'll give it.
Shut up! Like, it matters that much. I love it. And you know what? I got to tell you this too. My daughter and my girlfriend were furious that it doesn't count.
Oh, so
and it doesn't go towards the record. I mean, furious. Like that.
I mentioned it on this show that Canton was still asking about the ball anyway.
Yeah. Oh, he better have been. Golly. Oh, they better have gotten that to him. They're good enough at that. Their staff, aren't they? You would know better than me.
I as far as I can tell, I hadn't heard further on it. He acknowledged that Canton asked for it. I don't know that he gave it to them.
Incredibly poor execution on the staff. I'm telling you right now.
No, I think
when they lined up to kick a 70-yarder, there wasn't one of those fucking nerds over there who said, "Hey, maybe we should try to get the fucking ball."
It's a preseason game, man. Listen.
Wait, sorry, we brought up Andy Griffith and Gomer Pyle on this episode.
Well, golly.
Yeah. Oh my God.
You want
the RFD all over Bolt Blitz Uncut. The only person I left off was J.K. Scott. J.K. Scott, he struggled at times, but he also had really strong games. He was better the year prior in clutch situations. So I would like to see him kind of pick up where he left off in 2023 when it comes to the clutch punts. But overall, there's not a lot to complain about. He's a solid holder, which I think people take that for granted in the NFL, because that spot is one that, you have punters and backup quarterbacks and these various sundry guys at. But the fact that JK and Dicker are so comfortable together in that little union of holder kicker, I don't think that there's too much more that you could ask for. I think we covered it all. That's a 53, my man.
Sounds awesome to me, my friend. I listen. Maybe the team isn't where everybody needs it to be, but I would once again reiterate that not all the moves are finished. I'm not here to say that you have every bit of hope coming onto the roster, but there's still some tweaks and stuff out there. Pay attention to Bolt Blitz Uncut on Twitter and the socials to make sure you get those updates, because I know Booga and the minions will be out there talking all about it, and we want all of you out there in the Bolt fam, the Bolt bureaucracy, to check it out here from us.
I wish I could have put it better, but I can't. Guys, I'm Booga Peters. This has been Bolt Blitz Uncut. That was Kyle Nash. You guys have tuned in just to hear us kind of roll through our buffoonery and fuckery, and you just kind of put up with everything that we have to say, and we appreciate you for that. Have we got some shit coming your way? But I'm done teasing it. I don't want to talk about it again. September is a big month for the Bolt fam and for Bolt Blitz Uncut. You guys, 4 jerseys, 4 mini helmets. We're going to call it some, I don't know. We're going to throw in a big helmet too, I don't know, and maybe some cleats and some receiver gloves. I'm trying to figure it out. I want to put together a package to where people will tune in to our first week September show, and everybody from there until the end of September, everybody gets a little entry into our raffle. You don't have to pay anything. You're just going to follow myself at Booga Peters. My boy over here, you give me your Twitter, buddy.
At the SOTG as the student of the game.
And then also our guy at AD Simons, ADYSIMONS. Make sure you follow the co-host. He was not able to join us tonight, but he'll be here with us. Don't forget to follow Bolt Blitz Uncut.
There it is, baby.
And then that's just on the X/Twitter. Don't forget to go to the YouTube channel, subscribe, like, leave a comment, punch us in the mouth. We could take it. We're dick kick guys. We're tough enough. Don't be afraid,
folks. We're on all the socials. Let's get that right.
Yeah, we are. Sorry, we're on Instagram too. We'll get all that out there. Kyle's still putting up with somebody who's as loosey-goosey and all over the place as me. So his patience is greatly appreciated, as is yours. Thanks for tuning in to Bolt Blitz Uncut tonight. I'm your host, Booga Peters. We'll get back at you soon.